Scale of 1 to 10, how much trouble is Tom Brady in when it comes to depth at that receiving position?
Before I answer that question, can I get my 2 cases? Didn't I tell you Mike Evans was going to get suspended?
Well, you didn't bet 2 cases on it. Well, I wasn't going to accept that. We're talking about 2 cases. Okay.
I told you you're going to get suspended.
Well, you were really going out on a limb on that because everybody thought he should not have.
Yeah,
I just said he shouldn't have.
He should have.
Tom Brady called it ridiculous that he got suspended.
The man came
ridiculous.
Tom Brady came to Tom Brady's defense. Of course, Tom Brady.
So why would you suspend him for coming to the GOAT's defense?
And Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette, next time, I hope Tom Brady comes to, young black men defense like y'all ran to his defense. But we'll talk about that at a later date time.
I would also like to call out to my friend Derek Brooks. We need some help here because this is on appeal now.
I think
Derek Brooks might see clearly as opposed to Shannon Sharpe, the Brady hater.
No, I think this was going to go to James Thrash.
Maybe. They're co.
Yeah. But I don't think Brooks is going to handle this. I don't think Brooks can get this appeal. Tampa Bay. Yeah, I don't think he can get this appeal, Skip.
All right.
Skip, look, if this was the Cole Beasley from a couple of years ago, I would say it would probably have a big impact. But I think the thing is, Skip, is that they need bodies. Okay, Mike Evans potentially could be suspended a game. They're not going to have Godwin. They do believe they're going to get Godwin sometime in the near future. They just don't know when. Julio, we don't know the extent of that injury, so we don't know how long. He might be back this week. It might be 3 or 4 weeks. And so you're kind of running out of receiver bodies, Skip. I mean, you got Justin Gage, you got Perriman, you got Scotty Miller. Hell, I think you probably got one other receiver. You probably only dressed like 6, 7 receivers.
Jalen Darden, the kick returner.
Right. So you probably only dressed a handful. So now,
and I still don't know why they gave up on Tyler Johnson, but they did.
They did.
They gave up, and Houston jumped right on him.
Jumped right on him. And so with that being said, but I'm trying to figure out Tom's the GOAT. Skip Bayless has told me he used to go to he come out there.
I don't tell you. Everybody tells you.
I'm not the man. I'm talking Skip.
Does anybody not think he's the GOAT? Except you?
No. I'm not talking about GOAT. I'm not talking about that. We're not debating that. Not at this moment. What we're talking about is what you used to tell me. He would go out there and look around and say, hey, you 3 guys from Dorchester, and I need a 4th guy from South. And so I want you to come down here and play receiver for me today.
And they did for that game.
Okay.
Yeah. And they win 45-14.
And you told me he went down there. You say this was the Buccaneers. They didn't have nothing. So what's the problem?
Well, Shannon's telling me he's in decline. You told me off Sunday. You saw it again. Arm declining.
Let me ask you a question. Through 2 games, what do the numbers say? He's completing under 60%. He's about 200 yards passing a game, and he has 2 touchdowns. You tell me.
Against 2 top 5 defenses.
Are you the GOAT?
Second one being his all-time nemesis.
Are you the GOAT? Are you the GOAT?
He had lost to that team all 4 times in the regular season. They have his number. Dennis Allen has his number, unlike any team in his career.
Can I ask you a question? You told me that Michael Jordan never said, well, that's Detroit. The reason why that's Detroit. They got my number. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. If he can elevate everybody, elevate everybody.
Yeah.
Unless you're telling me there's some slippage and he needs a Mike Evans.
No slippage because the last 2 times that he played New Orleans in his house, in his building, in 2020 and then 2021, his QBRs were 4 and 24. That scale 0 to 100. So he was pathetic against them. He was even worse in the 38-3 blowout, which was on a Sunday night in his first year as a Buccaneer, than he was in this game when he had, a 16.
But here's my thing, Skip. The only thing that I've said is that as Tom has gotten older, he needs help around him. He needs better players around him. And everybody's tried to push back. It's not a knock. Everybody. You have to get better players around him. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were better players than what he had in New England. He got Gronk back, and the offensive line was better than what he had in New England. And the defense was better than what he had in New England. I told you when they started out, they were shutting all these. I said, Skip, that defense isn't that good. They're playing some bad teams. No, you didn't want to listen to me. But eventually you came around and you started listening to me like, well, Shannon, they know a little somebody we're talking about. But
I'm not sure about that. Go ahead.
So my thing is, look, last year's Cole Beasley did not play particularly well. There was a lot of other things going on, tolerance and production, and I don't think the production that he gave them for what he was asking to build to tolerate.
He refused to get vaccinated, and he made a public stink about it.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that hastened his demise in Buffalo because they flat out cut him in March.
If he'd have gave them great production, he could have had caused all the stinks he want. If he'd have gave him Devontae or Cooper Kupp from that slot position, Cole Beasley would still be on Buffalo.
Although he had the second most targets on the Buffalo
Yes.
squad this last year, 112 targets, and his 82 catches tied a career high. So by his standards, he had a pretty good year.
But he caught 82 the year before, and he had 53 first downs as
Okay.
opposed to 34. So we're seeing he wasn't moving the chains nearly as much, and that's what he is, Skip. He's not a guy that from the slot, like Cooper Kupp can break the game wide open. Devontae from the slot can, Justin Jefferson, those guys can break the game wide open. He's a chain mover. Well, if you're not moving the chains from that position and you're causing a stink about the COVID situation, yeah, it makes it easier for a team to move on without you. I don't think it's going to cause the ripple effect that you think it is. I just think they need bodies because they don't know Chris Godwin, maybe another 3 weeks. They don't know the Julio situation. Mike Evans is going to be back in a week if he loses the appeal.
Okay, but we're talking about right here, right now, against Aaron Rodgers and that Green Bay defense. They're in trouble.
They signed him to the practice squad. No, Skip. I can see if Devin White, Levante David, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, some of those guys were out. This is on the offensive side. That defense is just in fine. I don't think anybody's out on the defensive side of football. Is there somebody out that we don't know about?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so they're fine. That's what's carrying the team right now. You know that. They got 10 sacks.
Who made the throw of the day at New Orleans when it was 3-3 with 7:41 left in the game? 7:41 left, and Tom Brady finally made a throw against his arch nemesis defense.
Yeah. Even without that throw, if that defense wasn't doing what they were doing, look at what that defense is doing.
Look at what New Orleans defense always does to Tom. It's been doing it game after game.
How they do that to go? How they do that to the goal?
Well, I don't know. I told you they've had his number. I told you that all last week. So he throws a touchdown pass that breaks the game open to Rashad Perriman. Are you kidding me?
Hold on.
It's like the third string receiver.
No, I want you to tell the people what round Rashad Perriman was drafted in.
He was the first-round pick, and then he failed. He was almost like a bust. And he was a street guy. He's just like out on the street. You can have him for nothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I look at the targets on Sunday, Tom Brady beat his arch nemesis at New Orleans for the first time in 5 tries as a Buccaneer, throwing little Scotty Miller the most targets in the game with 8. And then Russell Gage, newly added from Atlanta as a slot receiver, had the next most targets with 6. And then Perriman had the next most targets with 5. That's who he's throwing to, and he managed to win the game at New Orleans. I told you, I thought it was his greatest regular season achievement given the degree of difficulty, because when you look at the glory days back in 2020 when they beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl, look at the targets in that game. Gronk had 7, Antonio Brown had 6, then Fournette obviously had 4, but you got Brady, you got Mike Evans. It's just different. I even look back at the Week 6 game when they just trounced Aaron Rodgers and company. Remember, it was 38-10 at Tampa, and I'm looking at the targets. Gronk had 8 targets. Godwin had 7. Mike Evans just had 2, but he usually catches 2 for like 70 yards.
Yeah, big yard.
Right? Okay. So then I look at the targets even last season. Godwin had 127 for the year. Mike Evans had 114 for the year. In the playoffs, Mike Evans had 26 targets and Gronk had 17. They were 1-2.
Right.
My point to you is none of those guys are there anymore. So you got to start over, and you had to reach fairly desperately for Cole Beasley, who is 33 years of age after 10 years in the league. I remember when we first started this show, 2016. Remember it like it was yesterday. I'm watching a Cowboy game, and my man Troy Aikman is talking about Cole Beasley, and he said he's just about uncoverable in the slot right now because there's nobody quicker in this league. Well, that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, that was
right?
then. This is now.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see quite the burst.
Right.
But what has Tom always had success with? A little white guy in the slot who couldn't run past anybody, but they're smart little guys who can just sort of run the option routes,
But Skip, if you think about it, if you look at Tom has always really spread the ball around. And so you look at those numbers, you says, okay, this guy got 8 targets, this guy got 7, next guy got 6. That's what Tom normally does. He doesn't really force feed. The first guy that comes open, that's the guy that's going to get the ball because he's getting the ball out of his hand quick. So each route is designed to get somebody else the ball, but it's get it to them just as quick as the time before to someone else. Okay. And so that's what he's doing. But you know, and I know, we can talk about Tom Brady all we want to, and he has things going on. But that defense is what's carrying this team right now.
Okay, I got it. But I've told you that from the start. I love this defense.
No. So in other words, if anybody else get carried by defense, that's a knock on them. Why is it a knock on Tom Brady?
What do you mean? Is it knock?
It's a knock.
Well, who made the throw to win the game the other day? I think it was the GOAT.
So let me ask you a question. So that one throw. So what happens to the defense if Jamel Dean doesn't make those interceptions? If that guy doesn't get that pick six? You talk about one throw. I'm talking about a Tampa defense that dominated the entire game.
Okay, but you told me yesterday that Jameis Winston is a problem. You just know he's going to throw it to you. What did Devin White say after the game? He's just going to throw it to us.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay, so how high is the degree of difficulty against Jameis Winston? It's not very high.
But my thing was, what was the reason that I told you? I said, Tampa's defense is legit. And the one thing, Jameis is going to turn it over. That's what he said. We had a good defense. If you look at them, Skip, for the most part, those guys from the front step, from the middle linebackers back, those guys, with the exception of Junior, Winfield Jr., were there. He said, but no defense can overcome 30 picks. No defense can overcome 35 turnovers, Skip. I don't care. The 85 Bears couldn't. The 2000 Ravens, the 02 Bucks, the 14 Seahawks, whatever you want. Even the Steel Curtain. Skip, you're not overcoming 35 turnovers from the quarterback.
No. By the way, I think Akeem Hicks is hurt. I don't know the status of it, but he went out of the game the other day. So that's one piece of the defense that was a new piece, that was an important piece in place of Sue that could be a problem.
Yeah, well, he's been getting nicked the last couple of years. That's kind of one of the reasons why we moved on to Chicago.
That is correct. Okay, so now back to Brady. He tried to feature little Scotty Miller the other day. And little Scotty Miller, of all the little white guys that Brady has had, he's the fastest.
Oh, yeah, no question.
He's a 4.3 guy, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? It's straight line 4.3.
Right.
He's not a route runner at all.
Right.
And I don't think has high football IQ, so Brady can't trust the route that he's going to run, and he doesn't have the greatest of hands.
No.
But he will, if you're not watching at the end of a half, look out below. If he's just going to run a go route, he will go right by you.
That's why Brady put him outside the numbers.
That is correct. So they realized we can't trust him. He can't be Edelman, Amendola, Wes Welker.
No.
He's not built like that. He doesn't have the brains for. Not that he's an idiot, but he doesn't have.
But you got to think quick. You definitely got to see the same thing the quarterback see, because if you don't, it's a pick six going another way. He thinking you break it in and you break out.
Yeah.
You will hit the DB right in the chest.
Okay, so Scotty Miller was a 6th round pick out of Bowling Green, and then you look at what he did damage with in New England. It was Edelman, who was a 7th round quarterback out of Kent, right? Kent State. And he was 5'10", 198. So he's had a little more stature to him. Like he was a 200-pound guy.
Yes.
Amendola was undrafted out of Texas Tech at 5'11", 185.
No, that's Wes Welker was Texas Tech.
I'm sorry. But Amendola was also out of Texas Tech.
Was he?
Right? I believe he was.
Okay,
I think he was.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but so was Wes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're all, like Amendola's 5'11", 185. Wes was 5'9", 185. Cole Beasley is miniature.
Yes.
He's 5'9", 175. So of all these little white guys, he's the littlest one.
Yes.
He can be like lightning quick, but I don't think he is at this stage and this age.
Right.
But at least he knows option routes, because once upon a time for Dak in 2016, that was his best year, was with Dak. And Dak really trusted him and went security blanket to little Cole Beasley. Look for Cole, look for Cole. So Brady's hoping he can just get him through the night until the big guns start coming back with some sort of option routes out of the slot where you have to anticipate each other, because obviously if you go and Brady can anticipate you, it's hard to cover that.
Yeah, of course. You know? But let me ask you a question. Do you believe he plays Sunday?
Cole Beasley?
Yeah, because they put him on. They put him to the practice squad.
No, I just think.
But they got the rules. At first, it was like you could. First 2 years, got to be 2 years. You couldn't play a certain amount of games. Now they got guys 10, 11 years coming back on the practice squad.
Hey, Green Bay is really good on defense. They're at least a top 10 defense. Yeah. At least. I mean, Jair Alexander's he's serious. He's top.
But the thing, Skip, the coverage is not the issue. You got to pressure Brady. And you see what happened on the touchdown throw, what? How much time do you think you will let Brady sit back there?
He was able to pat and pat and pat and sort of slide left, slide left, slide left.
I think they might, considering that, let's just say for the sake of argument for this discussion, that Mike Evans is suspended and they're without Chris Godwin and they're without Julio. I would be surprised if they don't heat him up. Because we'll take whoever your best wide receiver is, I'm going to say, Jair, you got him.
Okay.
And now we're going to play football.
Who's the best? I don't see a best.
Like I said, I don't
even know who. You don't put him on Scotty Miller. Remember, the play in question,
they got everything jumped off.
But it was Marshon Lattimore against little Scotty Miller.
Right.
That's what set off Brady because he thought he just rode him right out of bounds and got away with it.
He did.
And Brady went running down screaming bloody murder.
Right.
Okay, so that set off the fracas, right?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so remember, one of the best corners in football winds up covering little Scotty Miller because that's all they had at that point.
At that point in time, it seemed like that's who Brady was looking for.
Yeah.
Because he threw him an out route. He slipped down on another play. So it seemed, and they probably were thinking, like, Brady's only looking for him. Now, we can roll coverage to Mike Evans and take him away. Let's put let's put Marshon on Scotty Miller because that seemed to be where Brady's looking. And lo and behold, that was where Brady was looking.
Well, to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much trouble is he in this coming Sunday? Well, he's at a 9 on receivers unless they can just get Cole Beasley up to speed and have him catch 5 balls for 55 yards.
Yeah, that's when Brady said, hey, break out. No matter what, break out. Because you can't try to read. You can't anticipate. Because that's the thing with the slot, Skip. You can anticipate on the wide receiver and you can be out late with you can't be late throwing the out route because it's going to be picked going the other way. But you can miss outside. You miss in the slot, you're going to hit somebody in the chest. Ooh. And they're going the other way. Because trust me, a guy picks it in the slot, he going home.
I hear you. So you agree with me, high degree of difficulty against
that's the GOAT.
Green Bay.
The GOAT.
The GOAT? Well, he's 45 in decline, says the Hall of Famer.
Feed 5,000 with 2 fish and a loaf of bread.
Really?
That's what they said he is.
Huh. Nobody said he was.
That was Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless tell me all the time. Yeah, so feed 5,000 with 2 fish and a loaf of bread.
Really? And they just keep multiplying.
Yeah, that's
kind of how Brady does it.
Pretty soon it's gonna be the whole the Gulf of Mexico gonna be wine.
Yeah.
Tom Brady stuck his finger in it. Wine.
Yeah. Huh. Well, he's gonna have to do it this time with 3 guys from Sarasota.
Oh. Okay, now he get guys from Sarasota.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.